Good afternoon. My name is Rob McGuire, and I am the acting United States Attorney for the Middle District of Tennessee. Today, our office is announcing the arrest of 8 Venezuelan nationals for a federal indictment alleging multiple federal crimes. The indictment alleges that all 8 of the defendants conspired to transport women from South America into the United States and compelled those women to engage in prostitution. We allege that this trafficking was all a part of a scheme to promote an unlawful prostitution enterprise here in the Middle District of Tennessee. 3 defendants are also charged with conspiring to commit sex trafficking of these vulnerable victims by using force, fraud, and coercion to compel their participation in illegal commercial sex acts. This was all done for the profit of these defendants. The indictment also charges 1 defendant with unlawful possession of firearms by an illegal alien. As of this morning, all charged defendants are in federal custody. We have the names and aliases of the defendants as described in the indictment on this screen. We will also be issuing a press release today containing each individual's name, their known aliases, their ages, and the charges that apply to each. This indictment and the arrests of the defendants today is a demonstration of our full commitment to end human trafficking wherever and whenever we can find it, and to do whatever it takes to hold traffickers accountable for their crimes. As alleged in the indictment, the defendants lured women from South America with the false promises of a better life. Once the victims were here and far from home, the indictment describes how they were bullied, intimidated, and threatened to have sex with total strangers for illegal profits. They trafficked women once they were effectively cut off from friends and family. Were told that they had skyrocketing debts that no person could ever pay. And they were told that the only way to avoid those debts was to have sex with strangers for money. For 2 of the charged defendants, the indictment alleges that they used their affiliation with the notorious Venezuelan street gang Tren de Aragua, otherwise known as TDA, to intimidate continuing. The Department of Justice is fully committed to the eradication of these transnational criminal organizations. And we will continually and aggressively pursue justice for the victims of these gangs and others. Specifically, the message that law enforcement is sending with this indictment is that human trafficking is an abomination. That we will find it wherever and whenever it exists, that we will recover the survivors, and that we will stop it once and for all. We will do whatever it takes to try to save the lives of the victims that we serve, and that whoever caused their suffering will be held accountable for their actions. This kind of effort does not occur without the excellent partnership between multiple law enforcement agencies. And in a moment, I'm going to ask several of our tremendous law enforcement partners to make remarks. But before I do, I want to introduce them to you and let you know that without their efforts, a day like this would not be possible. First, from the United States Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Tennessee, I want to recognize Assistant United States Attorney Brooke Schifferly, who is our office's head prosecutor on this case. Assistant U.S. Attorney Ahmed Safiullah, who is the head of our Organized Crime Division, and Assistant United States Attorney Ben Schrader, who is the head of our Criminal Division. I also want to recognize my predecessor, Tom Jaworski, who supported this prosecution while he was the acting United States Attorney. Brooke Schifferly in our office has been prosecuting this case with trial attorneys Lindsay Robertson and Jessica Arco of the Human Trafficking Prosecution Unit of the Civil Rights Division of Maine Justice. All of these attorneys have worked long hours away from their families so that they could bring this case and they could hold these defendants accountable for their crimes. I'm also honored to recognize the leaders of the law enforcement agencies who played vital roles in the success of this investigation. I want to recognize Special Agent in Charge Raina Saud of the Homeland Security Investigations. I want to recognize Director David Roush of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Chief John Drake of the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department, Special Agent in Charge Joe Carrico of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Special Agent in Charge Jim Scott of the Drug Enforcement Administration. Most importantly, I want to recognize the men and women of these law enforcement agencies who worked tirelessly for months and even years to make this investigation successful and to try to hold these offenders accountable. It was their boots on the ground that led to this day. Now I'm going to ask our law enforcement partners to give remarks, after which I will try to answer whatever questions I can. First, I'd like to recognize Special Agent in Charge Saud to come forward and make her remarks.
Thank you, Rob. Good afternoon. HSI Nashville's office, alongside our federal, state, and local partners, is strongly committed to interagency collaboration to combat growing public safety threats wherever they may be, including those involved in violent crime, such as Tren de Aragua, TDA, and MS-13. At HSI Nashville, we are committed to working with our partners to successfully investigate and prosecute these heinous gangs. In Tennessee, HSI has solidified a united front to combat TDA. These criminal organizations are involved in crimes such as brutal violence, drug trafficking, and extortion, making it a priority for our agency and our law enforcement partners to apprehend and prosecute them. They have international reach and threaten the stability of all of our communities. Today, we arrested 8 individuals in Tennessee and other states as part of a long-term investigation into human trafficking and gang activities led by members of TDA. We have rescued dozens of victims exploited by this gang. This Venezuelan transnational gang has established a presence throughout the United States and the Western Hemisphere. It is known to recruit and smuggle women from Venezuela to the United States to expand their commercial sex trafficking activities. We're seeing it firsthand here in Tennessee. For reference, around the globe, an estimated 27 million people are exploited for labor, services, and commercial sex. Through force, fraud, and coercion, they're made to labor in fields and factories, restaurants, and residences. Traffickers prey on some of the world's most marginalized and vulnerable individuals, profiting from their plight. It is a $240 billion industry, and it is growing. I want to thank the Office of the United States Attorney, under the leadership of Acting U.S. Attorney Rob McGuire and former to securing public safety led to the prosecution of these criminals. Our partnerships in Tennessee expand to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Davidson County District Attorney's Office, Metro Nashville PD, and the Shelbyville Police Department. Fighting the threats posed by these organizations through recent coordinated efforts across the United States has resulted in the arrest of numerous members of TDA and MS-13. For example, recent raids in Aurora, Colorado, and New York in January disrupted their violent activities, dismantled smuggling networks, and reduced exploitation of vulnerable populations. Today's operation is another blow to the gangs that threaten the safety of the neighborhoods and terrorize the communities we swore to serve with their violence. HSI will continue to arrest and dismantle these transnational gangs, freeing our streets from human and drug traffickers and the civil violence that's associated with these crimes. We're proud of the teamwork achieved today, and we remind the public that if you see something, say something. Anyone with this information should call 1-877-4HSI-TIP. Thank you.
Thank you, Rana. I now want to invite TBI Director David Roush to the podium to give remarks.
Thank you, Rob. I want to tell you that, number one, is I am incredibly proud of the work of the agents and the intelligence analysts who originated this case, worked the details, followed the leads, and have tirelessly rooted out every fact and every subject possible in the pursuit of justice. This has been a long-term investigation that our team has been engaged in. I'm also thankful for our partners, all who are represented here, who stood with us throughout this investigation, and now with prosecuting these individuals. Together, we're sending a very clear message. We will not stand by and allow TDA or any criminal organization to get a stronghold in Tennessee. They are not going to be here. They will not be allowed to commit crime here. We will hunt these bad actors down. We will dismantle them, and we will work with every tool that we have under the law to hold these violent criminals absolutely accountable. For my fellow Tennesseans, rest assured, this is an ongoing cooperative work involving our Tennessee chiefs and sheriffs throughout the state. Together, we are working to protect and improve the safety of our communities and the volunteer state. Finally, at TBI, our work on trafficking does not stop because there is more of it out there. This is work that matters, and this is work that relies on quality tips. You can learn the warning signs and what to do if you spot them online at ithastostop.com. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I'd like to invite FBI Special Agent in Charge Joe Carrico to give remarks.
Thank you all. I appreciate you being here today. I'm Joe Carrico, the Special Agent in charge of the FBI responsible for the state of Tennessee. And I especially want to thank Metro Nashville Police Department and TBI because they were the ones that initially uncovered this case and began peeling back the leads. And because we are a team here in law enforcement in the state of Tennessee and across the United States, they invited us and other federal partners to work with them, which resulted in arrests in Tennessee and Texas and other states. An executive order was issued on January 20th, which designated Tren de Agua, cartels, and others as foreign terrorist organizations. The FBI, along with our federal, state, and local partners, will pursue these investigations jointly to address the safety of our communities and tackle this threat. Human trafficking is among the most heinous crimes we encounter. This devastating crime exploits vulnerable members of communities nationwide, including those in Tennessee, and we're committed to rescuing those victims, investigating and prosecuting traffickers, and supporting survivors. Finally, the FBI wants to remind the public, as all of our partners do, that those who wish to report incidents of human trafficking or suspected human trafficking can contact their local police agencies, state police departments, state agencies, the local FBI offices here in Tennessee, or the FBI's National Threat Operations Center at 1-800-CALL-FBI, or submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov.
Thank you, Joe. I'd now like to invite DEA Special Agent in Charge Jim Scott to the podium to give remarks.
Thank you. My name is Jim Scott. I'm the Special Agent in Charge of the Drug Enforcement Administration Louisville Field Division, and I'm responsible for DEA's activities in Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia. The DEA is proud to have partnered with our federal, state, and local counterparts today in an operation targeting Tren de Aragua. And although this was a human trafficking operation, TDA and criminal gangs like TDA use a variety of crimes to prey on our communities, not only in Tennessee, but across the U.S. And the men and women of DEA will take every opportunity that we have to partner with police, not only in Tennessee, and prosecutors not only in Tennessee, but across the U.S., to help knock the TDA train off its tracks and to keep our communities safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I'd now like to invite Chief John Drake of the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department to the podium to give remarks.
The trafficking of human beings is abhorrent to all of us. It's a modern-day form of slavery. I want to be clear. Our police department will always make human trafficking investigations a priority of our police department, regardless of where a suspect is from. I'm grateful to our federal, state, and the Metro Nashville Police Department. I'm also thankful to U.S. Attorney Rob McGuire, TBI Director David Roush, and all of our federal partners for their commitment to carry out these types of investigations. The persons indicted in this case are accused of recruiting and then tricking women from Venezuela and other countries into accepting their offer of passage into the United States. Once here, we believe those women were forced into commercial sex trade to settle their outrageously high travel debts. One of the defendants is even identified as an enforcer who would stay with the victims in Nashville area hotels to ensure they did not flee and follow the rules. Two of the defendants are accused of using their ties to the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua to scare women into complying with their demands. TDA is known to be inherently violent and has been a strong concern of mine since being briefed by the gang's activities by the New York City Police Department last year. Frankly, we suspect TDA in some of our active, ongoing investigations involving sex trafficking. The TDA criminal presence anywhere in the country is a threat to public safety. All of us standing here today are determined to send a clear message through arrest and prosecutions that violent gang activity, regardless of who commits it, will be met with an intentional and coordinated law enforcement response. Thank you.